Hey everybody. Okay, so with my students in programming and game design, I'm having you work with Git, and Git did a new thing where what they did is they deleted standard username, password sign-in, and instead they're doing a thing called personal access tokens. So when it's time for you to create a repository for the very first time, you're going to need to follow this step. So this is really important here. But I'm going to walk you through from a blank project all the way to being able to connect with my GitHub repository. So the first thing you notice is I created a folder, and I'm calling this a programming project template. Now, if you, for example, my game design class, I might have a game design project that already has files in it. Most of this will be the same, okay? But I just want to show you, I create a folder. Notice it's empty. There's nothing in there. I need to create a new repository. All right, so I'm going to click New, the green button. I'm going to give it a name. Programming Project Template. Now, you're going to call it whatever makes sense for the project you're working on. So you're going to give it a name. You're not going to give it a description. You're going to leave it public. And you're definitely not going to click on any of these buttons. If you do that, this whole process breaks down. Not because it's bad, but just because it's just I can only show you sort of one way of doing it, and I want to be consistent. And I notice when people do it this way, there's more problems when they don't do it. So we're not going to do it. We're just going to click Create Repository. So whatever you name it, give it a meaningful name. The description was optional. You could have done it. When you get there, you're going to get a couple things here. You have this Create New Repository. This is what we're going to do. So we're going to use these commands. Now let me walk you through what these commands are so you know a general idea. And don't worry, you'll understand them better over time as you do these. The first command is, this is all a Linux or Unix command. And this is not really Git. It's actually, if you're on command line, you can do this command. And what it will do is this will create a file called readme.md. And the contents are going to be in what's in the quotes. Echo is just like a print statement. So you just basically echo and this quote, two angle brackets, and a file name. We'll just basically create a file called readme and put this in there. Get in it. The very first time you have a project in your computer that uses Git, you're going to need to run that command. But once you run it and you have it under Git and it's controlled by Git, you don't have to do it again. The next two commands you're going to use a lot. Git add, git commit. Adding is when you stage. It's where you select the files you want to send to GitHub and store. And then the commit is basically taking a snapshot of your project at its current state. They have to have been saved changes. If the changes that you worked on were not saved, this commit will not include those new changes. You have to have saved it, then staged it. Okay? Then you commit it. And you follow this command, and what's in quotes is just going to be a description of what you did. And first commit is just literally the first commit. Branch is basically saying we want our main branch to be called main. And it's just a good name, right? It's our main branch. It's like the thing that's the most up to date as in your project. This is going to be the first thing that people are going to see if they go to GitHub. You can create other branches, and we'll talk about that in later tutorials. Then this is basically one fancy way of connecting our folder from our computer to the online repository you see here. And finally, you're going to push all that work to this online site. And you're going to use these commands. You're going to use push to send files to your repo that's online, and you're going to do pull to grab stuff off. For now, you just need to know you're just going to do the push. Now, this is all going to be fine and dandy until we get to push. And let me just show you what happens. So I'm going to copy these by clicking copy, this icon, or I can hand select those, highlight them, and copy it that way. And I want to get git bash open. I want to find that folder. So you start with an empty folder. Git init will not work if there's any files. It might work if files are in it, but don't try it. Just try an empty folder because we're starting from scratch. I have a folder called Git Projects, and that's where I'm putting all my new Git projects. It's a good idea to organize them. And you can either right-click on the highlighted folder and do git bash here, but I prefer just going into the folder, finding an empty location inside of the Explorer, right-click, git bash here. And it's going to open this up. And then you're just going to right-click, and you're going to paste. And you're going to get all the way to the last command. Now watch what happens when I hit the last command. It pauses, and this thing pops up. Now, this little window here doesn't seem to work well. So I found it's best to cancel this. But before we do, let me just talk about what you're going to do. I've given a link in all of my classes under course materials and resources. Any class that uses Git, it's create a Git personal access token. You're going to need this one time unless it expires, and then you'll use it again. And it's just a secure way to be able to connect to the online site and send your files back and forth without people being able to intercept it and making change. So you're going to follow this step here. Okay, so let me walk you through it. And I'll just do it myself. So I'm going to go in here. I'm actually going to go and I'm going to right click on here and I'm going to choose, no, I'm just going to click on, I'm just going to click it. So just click your little username link here. You got to be signed in. Go down to settings. And on settings, you got to scroll down until you see developer settings. And you're going to go to personal access tokens and you're going to generate a new token. You probably don't have any. I'm just going to call mine North 105 Teacher Computer. Oops. And then I'm going to set the expiration. I'm going to set a custom expiration date. And I'm just going to go to February 1st. Okay. And then you want to check repo. This is the only thing you need to check. Scroll down. Click Generate Token. Now, in case you're getting ideas, all right, I'm going to end up deleting this. So when I'm done, I won't be using this anymore, and you won't be able to use it either. So keep that in mind. But I'm going to click on that. Shows that it's copied. Now, I go here. I'm just going to cancel this. But let me get this open so you can kind of see what happens when I cancel it. When I go to cancel, it's now going to say login failed, use Control-C, blah, 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 whatever. Just down here, you want to click in the window, type in your username. Now the username, in fact, I'm going to go back a step here. By the way, once I step away, I can't get to that anymore, so I want to make sure it is copied. I'm going to go away. I'm going to go all the way back to where I was before, because I want to show you here, that right here is your username. Okay? And you can see your username up here. Okay, so that's how you know it. Right? It is case insensitive. So I can just type it without capitalizing anything. Hit enter. Now, this little window is going to pop up. You've got to click in here. If you don't, it'll start entering keys on here and it won't work. And you're going to do, you can't right click. You have to do Control-V. And you're going to see that's a lot of characters and you're going to click OK. And then, voila. You got it. Hit refresh. You're good to go. If the personal access token, you have problems with it, you can always delete it and start a new one. Okay. If you do need to start a new one, there are some additional steps that I will need to take, most likely. So you do want to make sure you get it right. If it doesn't work the first time, then you should be able to generate a new token and start over. And as long as that token's live and you're using it and it's attached to your username, everything should work. The last thing I just want to mention is, actually, no, I'm going to leave you at that. If you have any questions, let me know, and hopefully that will help. Thanks for watching.